This next bit of news will need to come with a trigger warning for the left, but despite the relentless bad media, Donald Trump has the steadiest approval rating of any president on record and would be re-elected today if an election were held. Take it away, CNN.
Here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done. Is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign? Yes, 52%. The majority of Americans say that Donald Trump is doing what he promised compared to 48% who said no. So what essentially is going on here is the voters expected all of this from Donald Trump. The majority did, and that is why his favorable rating simply put has not really moved all that much compared to where it was a year ago. Trump is basically doing what the American people thought that he was going to do. Indeed, if you look at the numbers, Trump has basically the steadiest favorable rating this much through a presidency of any president on record, and it's basically where he was a year ago, good enough to get him reelected.
Ami, that's all very interesting, but what do you think is going to happen in the midterms?
Look, traditionally in midterms, the party in power loses seats, and the Democrats are doing whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen this time. The president won the election, right? He won the election because of the two main issues, the economy and illegal immigration, right? And what has he done? Well, illegal immigration is down, like illegal border crossings, is down over 90% this year. 90, not 9%, 90%. That is an unbelievably, incredibly high number, okay? And in inflation, we're down this year 42% from the 3-year average where inflation was in 3 years prior, okay? That's why if the election was held today, the president would win again. But it's not just the president acting in a positive way. A lot of it is the Democrats acting in a negative way and losing support, which is the other side of the ledger. Look, when they continue to take the wrong side of 80-20 issues, right? We talked about it before. We'll continue talking about it going forward. When they are shutting down the government, in no small part because they want illegal aliens to get government-funded health care, that's a problem for your party. When you're a party calling for cashless bail, allowing people who've committed crimes back into the cities to commit more crimes, that is a problem for your party. So, yeah, that's why you're seeing those numbers here. And I'm not sure that the midterm election history will repeat itself.
Now, Ami, President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney have met to negotiate a trade deal, and the president had the room in stitches with this line.
He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator. So then
what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. That could have been. I think you got that one. That could have been good. Thank you very much.
And it was a love-in with the Canadian Prime Minister calling Donald Trump a transformative president.
You kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time, you are a transformative president. And since then, the transformation in the economy, unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending, peace from India, Pakistan through to Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going. On this solemn day of commemoration of the horrific attacks of October 7th, for the first time in decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, this prospect of peace that you've made possible. Canada stands foursquare behind those efforts, and we'll do whatever we can to support them.
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Ami, this was Mark Carney's second visit to the Oval Office ahead of next year's review of the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. The relations seem to be very positive there.
Yeah. Look, what can I tell you? Canadian Prime Minister, welcome to the 180 Club, as I call it. Joining Merz from Germany, Keir Starmer of England, even crazy Lulu da Silva said he had a great positive call with President Trump. I think, look, Mark Carney did a great job listing all or just a number of his foreign policy accomplishments. Maybe he, like others, maybe they smell a Nobel Peace Prize coming, want to get on that train as fast as possible. Look, these ultimately are politicians, right? And when they see, particularly when it comes to the foreign policy arena, but also the economic arena, when they see the success after success after success of the United States in the foreign policy world under the leadership of Donald Trump, I think they want to get aboard that. I think they want to be part of that. So, yeah, I think I chalk that up to he's just following the line of success, and I think that's where it leads us.
Now, Ami, this week we observed the second anniversary of the October 7 terrorist attacks. Sadly, it coincided with more acts of anti-Semitism, including right here in Melbourne. You travel extensively. How fearful is the Jewish community in the West right now?
Fearful. Look, the reality is that there have been fear in the Jewish community, attacks in the Jewish community since Jews first walked this earth, right? That's the reality of the situation. And obviously, we are now in a particularly acute situation across the globe, not just with our co-religionists in Israel. Yeah, look, we just had a series of holidays for Jews around the world, right? Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we call it the high holidays. And it's very striking that, and this is not new, it's been like this for many years, that in order to go pray to God, you have to walk through levels of security at every single synagogue that exists in the world. And I'm not talking about just in Israel or even in Europe, but here in the United States. Look, for years I did volunteer security for my synagogue because it was necessary. It's part of the line item expense synagogues have is security. It's shameful. It's sad that we have to live with this.
It is shameful, Ami, and it's evident right here in Australia, in a country like Australia that's so peaceful and prosperous and harmonious. You look at the Jewish schools, the synagogues, the security they have is akin to what you see at the airport. Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.